1.5 million subscribers worldwide, so QBO subscription. And I have a couple slides just for people that are new to the team before we dive into QBO Advantages. More than 80% of QuickBooks Online customers are new to the Intuit franchise, and they choose online over desktop. That's up from 60% even like a year ago. So obviously this is no news to hopefully any of you. This is not new news, right? So, but we're at 101.5 million QBO subs. Most are in the U.S. So being in the cloud in QBO, we should all align here just very quickly, but this is hopefully something we all, again, not news or a surprise to anybody, collaborating with your clients, accessible anywhere, and I'm going to even show a little bit on the mobile device today is one of the advantages. No transfer of data, that's still my favorite. No need to host QuickBooks Desktop, which is expensive. And we are VeriSign secured, like a big bank, and you can go at security.intuit.com to find out more. I am going to be spending some time in bank feeds with the bank rules, particularly the new automation of adding it to the register after the rules applied, the automation of data entry. That's also an advantage in QBO over what even desktop does with online banking. And then, you know, you're in the single ledger with the client. They're seeing the same data. It's always up to date, okay? And even the apps, I'm going to show a couple apps as well that sync with QBO, a couple reporting apps. So these are the reasons for being. For me, I usually go with the no data transfer, and everybody agrees that that's a pain point. And then, of course, for the next one for me is just a client that wants to be mobile and have the latest technology, et cetera. But the automation of data entry with the apps and the online banking would be number 3. And number 4 for me is a reason to go QBO would be no installation, no IT costs. We're handling it. Okay, I just assume collaboration, particularly with QBOA. That's probably one of my favorite go-tos for why QuickBooks Online is just the firm collaboration in QuickBooks Online Accountant. But we're not really going to be in QBOA today. Okay, here is the ever-evolving ecosystem of tools and apps. Right now, there's over 26,000 developers actively creating QBO apps. No, we don't need to know 26,000 apps. And there's only just a few hundred on apps.com, maybe even a couple hundred. You know, your friendly neighborhood product specialists have the go-to apps, and you probably know a lot of them already now. And Teresa, I think we all kind of put together this sheet with contact info of the key apps per industry, and I'll let Valerie really shine a light on apps and seeing it live in the September QBO Deep Dive. So make sure you accept that when I send out the invite probably next week, the next couple weeks. Okay, here's the money slide. The next slide is a slide regarding desktop over QBO, so we're going to end with that. But the next 15, 17 minutes, we're going to hang out here, and I'm going to be in product. So though this is not a complete list, there's a few other things that QBO does that desktop does not, but these are the cool things where I can automatically schedule and send transactions and reports. The mobile app, creating an expense and having it come in. I mean, there's plenty of third-party apps that do that, but I'm going to actually go through creating an expense and have it come to a QBO file. Then we're going to spend some time in bank feeds and go through bank rules and the new auto add to register. I want to show you the difference between the audit log report in QBO and the audit trail in desktop, and where the audit log is advantageous. And then, though there's other things, like I have 2 types of class tracking in QBO, and I have delayed charges and delayed credits and multiple budgets for fiscal year, I'm going to hang out with the blue stuff that to me I think is really impactful. Unlimited time tracking report-only users, so you can see what that is. Journal entries can have multiple AR AP lines, though it might not sound incredibly exciting to us. It always gets applause from accountants at any kind of QBO cert event or conference I've ever been to. And then messaging tool to collaborate with client's team. Remember, desktop had a messaging tool, but that required the sync manager to work, so that's no longer really even supported. So right now, if you want to ask your accountant and you're a client a question about a transaction or vice versa, you can with QBO. It's just called transaction messaging. So again, that's more about collaboration. So let's look at these several things in product. So the first thing I'd like to start with is automatically scheduling and send transactions. I'm going to go to the gear icon and recurring transactions. And here's my invoice that I created. Let's go ahead and just edit that. Let's say I have a weekly invoice that goes out, every Friday for this client. And I'm going to, I'll just set up the template, the customer put in their email, needs to have an email, and this would flow over from the customer anyway, I just don't have any there. And then, choose a start date, so we'll have it go today, and it's not going to end, and you choose, what it is. They pay like a weekly rent for something, $100 a week or something like that, or maybe it's monthly. Either way, you have some options here. So I can do a memorized transaction in desktop, right? Let's jump over there real quick. So I can go to my list, memorized transaction list, and I can create, a new memorized transaction, or just like go to an invoice, I guess, and I can go ahead and memorize it if I want to and create the template, to have it automatically reminded, automatically entered. However, I have this option here in QuickBooks Online where I can automatically send emails. So in QBO Essentials and Plus, because Essentials and Plus support recurring transactions. Simple Start wouldn't, not that we're playing with Simple Start a lot, but I can automatically send emails. So when I save this template on the 26th, so today it's going to create the invoice and then it's going to send it to Woody. Not from Outlook, not from Gmail or Ymail or anything like that. It's going to send it out of QBO. Okay. And coming actually soon, you'll be able to BC and CC things. You can also include unbilled charges. If I have a delayed charge created, or if I have some expenses or time that's tagged to this customer, and so it doesn't fall through the cracks, I can have this invoice that's created automatically every Friday pick up any unbilled activity that's assigned to that customer throughout the week. So you can really kind of set it and forget it, automate this process of sending invoices to clients, even for stuff that, oh yeah, I did that other accounting for them, but I forgot to include it on the invoice. QBO will put it on there for you if you check this box. That's pretty nifty right there. And if you sign up for QuickBooks Payments, then you have the whole online invoicing, and the customer can pay now and reduce the AR. So QB Payments Desktop has as well, but this picking up any unbilled activity without having to put it on it myself, or automatically sending the document or transaction out, that is not something that Desktop does. Okay? So that is one thing, and it also, what Desktop doesn't do, it's going to do in 2017, but still I think it's important to note, is when I have some custom reports, I can schedule the group of reports to also be sent. Like maybe they get this monthly, and whoever's on the email or CC'd will get an email with the reports in that group, financial report. This could be someone, this main CEO or CFO of the business that doesn't actually get his hands dirty in the QBO file, but he still wants to be updated on reports. So the automatic sending of transactions and reports is something that QBO does, that Desktop does not, though that's the main enhancement for 2017 Desktop, just so you guys know ahead of time. Not that you're talking about that at all. Externally, of course, is the ability to schedule reports going out. Okay, any questions with that at this point? The chat room. Will you be sending out this deck? Sure, Paul. Yeah, it's just a few slides, but yeah, there's some good stuff on here, man. No worries. Okay, attaching documents. Now, Desktop does that too, and as I explained in the What's New last month, we can now attach desktop attachments in QBO to customers and vendors. It always used to be transactions historically, and now you can do it to customers and vendors. But that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is on the mobile app, and I still don't have the app to share out that. But what I'm going to do is I'm creating an expense right now on my iPhone that you guys can't see. I'm sorry. I choose who I paid, and it's going to be, Clay. And then there's location and class tracking, what kind of expense it was. That's the expense account, so I'm going to do, it was, let's see, like prepaid insurance, we'll say, and then who was it for, and I can even tag a customer if I want to, and then a class if I want, and then put in the amount. And the thing that you're not seeing is that there's a little camera icon on the phone where I can go ahead and take a photo with the camera. You just click Take Photo, use this photo, credit card, right? Got it. Okay, it's going to save it. So let's say I just took a picture of an expense or whatever, and it's actually going to send the transaction into the file. And you guys will eventually see it here. So here's the one I just created for $350. It literally sends it, through the web and stuff, and has an attachment that I took. Here's my screen that I was sharing while I was doing it. So, that's something you can do that desktop cannot, is I can use my phone, even if I don't have like HubDoc or Receipt Bank, which would do this and fetch documents and send the attachment in. And I'm just like on the cheap, don't really need that functionality, but I just want to take a picture of a receipt and create an expense in QBO. I can do that with the free app as long as you have a QBO login. Whether I'm on an iPad or a phone or Droid or something, I can take a picture and it creates the expense for me. So that's kind of nice as well, and that's kind of the mobile ability using the phone, etc. I mean, I can do bank feeds on the mobile app and stuff, and maybe one deep dive, I'll just get the thing that allows me to share out my iPhone screen so you guys can see it live. So sorry, that was kind of, old school doing it that way, but hopefully you guys could visualize in your head and then you saw the result. Okay, bank transactions, downloading automatically each night. So let me go back to my file here. I'm going to go into banking. And they do. I have an Amex card, and they come in every night. I've set up some cool rules and things like that. Now, a couple of things that desktop does not have. The ability when things are in QuickBooks, like say my client added all this stuff, but the rule for Staples is totally wrong. I can actually check off, because look, it's Tucson Airport Authority, so this wouldn't go to a Staples vendor. Like, I don't know what he's doing really. And so pretend he's my client. He just doesn't really know. Okay, that's why he has me as the pro advisor. I can actually undo these. Now in desktop, I'd have to go into the register and delete them out and then re-download it from the statement. In QBO, I can undo them. It takes them out of the register for me. It puts them back in the For Review tab. So the ability is way easier to clean up messes in the actual batch undo. And there's batch actions as well, though I think the desktop online banking has that as well. So there's that piece too. The other piece is the rules themselves. So you can see that in this download from Amex, everything green is really good and ready to go, but the rules have been applied already and even matched to existing things. I mean, desktop online banking would have rules too, and it would also match. But the one thing I really like is when I go into the rules under this, and this would be better than, let's go to the Exxon one. It would be better than what desktop does. And the rule screen is easier to manage, in my opinion, in QBO versus desktop, and delete rules out and things like that. And again, if a rule has been, typically the pro advisor wants to set up the rule. If a client sets up the rule, oftentimes it can just bring in it's garbage in, garbage out. But remember, the cleanup in the online banking in QBO is way easier because of the ability to batch undo. All right. When you're in the bank credit card window. So I have this rule, and it's applied. It's applied for these criteria, right? It's going to create a credit card expense to that payee, that category, even a class, but automatically add to my books. Now, I showed you guys this with the what is new, is that will literally add the transaction to the books file. And they'll be on the transaction itself. If I go to that expense and online banking matches, it'll say automatically added with the rule. I mean, that just really automates data entry. I didn't have to go in and batch accept into the register from the For Review window. When the rule is applied, it's going to go ahead and actually just put it in the register for me. So for real predictable expenses or things that never need review, check off that box, and that automation isn't anywhere. Xero does not have that automation, and they always rave about their bank feeds, okay? So that's pretty exciting, and that's just in QBO. That's not without another app. It's just literally doing it for me. So if you combine, and this is what I think Valerie will talk about in September, is if you combine like HubDoc or Receipt Bank, and especially HubDoc where it's fetching the data, the documents, sending them over, the auto entry and the matching would just be awesome. So you can really automate data entry with that. Okay. Now, one of my favorite things is the audit log. So in desktop, you do have an audit trail report, and you've had it forever. And before you could turn it off. Imagine back in the day, we gave people the ability to turn off the audit trail, which it's just not compliant at all, right? I mean, holy cow. It's funny to think about how things used to be. I'm kind of dating myself, but in 2006, the audit trail, which just tracks, what users are doing, not when they logged in and logged out, but what they did to the transaction, which helps when people are coming in and doing, nefarious things in desktop, and that's been always on since 2006. But 2005 and prior, you could turn it off. So Example scenario is go enter a check, print it, don't save it, make sure you've turned the audit trail off, turn it back on. Now I have a check for like $1,500 so I can go buy this sweet Gills guitar, and then my business owner never knows. I mean, the stories are endless with that. What I like with QuickBooks Online for that is the Audit Log Report, which is under the gear icon. Now, that similar scenario, though it doesn't track something printed out of the system, but you can see where, let me see, I just did this. Let me go into this one maybe. I could track where someone logs in to the file, and then you can see how he activated a bunch of users. It tells them when they logged in and what they did, when they re-logged into the file, when they logged out, and I can filter by, particular events and by particular users. So if I have a question about a particular person, I can go in and just kind of look when's the last time they were in the file, and he hasn't been in there since 2012. I mean, in desktop, I'd have to send the report to Excel. And, it's odd. I had a really good example where Ray went in and created a check and then deleted it. I just created it to show you guys. But for whatever reason, I don't know what happened. It must have been in another file, but it shows where she created a check. Here it is. Ray Isaac added a check, deleted it a minute later. Now, what do you suppose that means? That to me would be a red flag. Now, I was hoping it would show that she printed it because I did print it out, but it didn't show that. But this will even show, as we learned with Rizal and I were testing yesterday, even shows when someone turns payroll on and who did it. So the audit log report in QBO is definitely best the same in desktop because of when the user logged in and logged out, what they did. I mean, desktop will show what they did, but seeing when they logged in and logged out helps me to really see what they did. And my guess is Ray just took $1,500. That would be my flag. So I would just want to spend some time with her and ask her what's going on. She should have come to me and asked me for that money. Okay, being her dad and all. So you have the audit log to review the actions and stuff. Now the other thing, sometimes you'll have clients that have users, and we don't really want them in the data per se, but I might want them to enter time or run a report. So if I go to manage users, then you'll see that, and we'll get into a little app stuff. We got journal entry, got messaging tool, and that's that. So here's where I can add users, and actually I have way too many users in this file. But you can have as many. Actually, no. What am I doing? I can do that. I can go in and click New. Okay, that's a Google Chrome pop-up thing. Sorry, it's always going to do that. And I have to click Add New again. And you'll see in Plus I have the ability to create a report-only user, and they just have an access to all the reports. Now I can't tell them that they can only view the sales reports and not company financial. They have access to all reports if they're reports only, just so you know. They have the whole report list. And then time tracking, these people, you can have as many as you want. They don't count against the list, and you need to have Plus for this ability, report only or view only and time tracking only. But they can come in and enter time and it's only their time, not their friends or colleagues or something like that. And they don't have access to any transaction reports or anything like that in the file. Literally, it's just the weekly timesheet or the single time activity window. That's all they see. Okay, so you have that in QBO Plus as well. Finally, one of my favorites, just because, though I don't fully understand it, but accountants do tons of journal entries, and it always bemuses me when I'm at presenting or whatever, or I'm at a QBO Cert event or at a conference, and I'm just watching in the back, and someone says, like, hey, by the way, did you know you can do multiple AREP per journal entries in QBO? And then the place just erupts in applause, and you're just like, wow, man, that's just amazing to me. They would get so excited because in desktop, where I am now, you guys will know, when I come in and I try to hit accounts receivable, typically we want to use an invoice. You wouldn't do journal entries really, but let's say it's the end of the period and I don't care about the subledger. I'm just trying to get the balances set. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, right. So I got to do this for Corey, and then we're also going to do another AR for, Christine, and then I'm just going to throw them off to some income account just to get by, right? I'm going to click, save and close. And right there, this is like the number 2 request since 1993 from accountants in desktop. I'm seriously, enhancement requests. We've never given it to them. I can't believe it. You cannot use more than one ARAP account in the same transaction. So they have to do, they have to take that line out, right? And they have to make sure this matches. And then they have to go down and click save and new and then do it again. And that would include AP and stuff like that. However, from an accounting standpoint in QuickBooks Online, and this is not because I'm not even in this file from QBOA. It doesn't matter. It's a QBO functionality. Simple Start can even do this. Similar scenario, I go down to the accounts receivable, $100, and I got, this Aaron, and then I'll do another AR for, $200. This is just to get my, I would normally, don't judge what I'm doing here, because normally I would use an invoice, receive a payment, right? I wanted to have the transaction detail for reporting, and that's correct. But a lot of accountants don't deal with that of their clients. They only are trying to get to the tax return or to a report, so it's way easier just to do a quick journal entry, even to affect things like ARAP and sales tax, okay, when typically you wouldn't want to do that. So we'll say this is the all-around customer. So this is normal. This is not just me making something up. Someone would do this, okay? I've seen it live. Very sad. So I have income, right? I'm going to choose an income, labor revenue. I can even do AP if I want. When I click save, it lets me. I get no error. And I'm telling you, you see people leap out of their seats. They're really excited over that one. And then messaging tool. So there's a few other things, multiple budgets per fiscal year, et cetera, but I want to show some app stuff. But let me go into a different file, Katie's company here, and no, QBO Plus does not allow sales orders. Their client was wrong. All right, so when you go to an existing transaction, like let's say I'm just going to click up here and there's this bill from yesterday. And I'm just like, outside consultants, $200, what? But they don't have any subcontractors. Interesting. Now, I'm their accountant, so I know. So what you can do is you see this little icon. Sorry, I'm getting this chat room thing. See the little message thing? It brings me down here, and I can choose the Woody, who entered this bill, and I can say, but you don't have any sub-Cs. Did you recently hire a 1099 vendor for something? You don't have the money for that. Okay, so whatever. Now, what has happened is that when Woody logs in, he's going to see the message with a 1 on it. And then he'll be able to click on it and see my question. And then he'll respond, and then I'll see a message with a 1 next time I come in. And then I'll be able to come in, and there'll be a little transaction messaging trail about this transaction. And eventually maybe I get on the phone call with them or text them or something like that, or maybe even an email. But I can actually communicate on at the transaction level with a client in QuickBooks Online. We attempted that in desktop. Remember, we was part of the QBA Plus or whatever, and then we took it out because the sync manager's gone anyway. So this collaboration between accountant and client, not just about file transfer, not just about what year QuickBooks Desktop are you in, and what am I going to restore you in. Literally being in the single ledger in the same data they're looking at. They're not seeing my mouse move, obviously. We're not remoting in, but they're not watching me physically. But I'm actually looking at their transactional data they just entered from yesterday or today or a minute ago, and I can ask them questions on it. And they even get an email prompting them to reply. So that's the collaboration that I talk about that goes back to that one of those slides about collaborating. It's accountant and firm staff collaboration, but it's also accountant and client collaboration, even at the transaction level itself. Okay, so it's pretty cool. And then the last thing, just for apps, right? If I go into apps, a lot of people ask about that, just to show you, because that was one of the advantages. Desktop, yes, has third-party integration. However, it's getting weaker and weaker because we took away the sync manager. So a lot of the app partners are relying on their own bridge they build or the web connector, which is such an old school utility. I don't even know if we really technically support it anymore if they had a support question. I don't know where you'd go to ask about the web connector if it fails. So the silent sync, no utility needed to synchronize these apps with QuickBooks Online is great. I mean, I have a lot of reporting ones, which just pulls the data out. I think Valerie's going to show you HubDoc next month and how that works with bank feeds, and she'll also show you T-Sheets and I think Expensify, which is really exciting. A lot of firms are packaging those three together or two of those together, as we learned when T-Sheets was here this week, as part of their QBO package for their clients. But like Finagraph, this will pull out if I choose to click on the business. This one's free, and it still shows me some good KPI charts and graphs and cash flow that I'd have with this file, just pulling the data out. Like current assets are available for growth, show me. And it'll bring me down and then tell me, here's my current ratio, versus the average. And I have these red flags when, I flagged it because I said it. The threshold value is 32%, and the industry average is like 100. So I'm struggling. This is when the accountant, when they're saving time, can sit down with me and look at these graphs and explain how, this gross profit trending is not really ideal for where I really want to be, and things like that. And this is the free one. I mean, there's other ones like Fathom that you can set up. And so this app integration where I can literally go in here and click analysis, and I can look at it for the year, a quarter, a month across a bunch of different KPIs that I've even created. So there's tons of these apps in the apps tab, and I know we're getting to the bottom of the hour. So hopefully this is helpful. App integration, Valerie's going to dive really deep in. She's a really cool show she does with a few apps integrating in QBO and how they're symbiotic and work together. I think that'll be exciting. I'm definitely going to sign up for that one. That'll be sometime in September. And then QuickBooks Payments will be the October one. I'll be doing a What's New in QBO next Friday. I'll send you a video if you're not going to be here and take that day off. Any questions at this point? Hopefully that was helpful.